Welcome, everyone. This is Celeste Brooks of Astrology by Celeste. I'm an astrologer, a coach, a teacher, and an intuitive. And I'm so delighted to be here with the full moon forecast for the Leo full moon on February 1st with my collaborator, good friend, and amazing astrologer, Dabney Lawless. Hey, Dabney.
Hi, Celeste. I'm so happy to see you. I'm in Europe right now, so it's just so crazy to be able to connect cross continent with everybody.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to talk to you about this Leo full moon. And there's a lot of heaviness going on right now, and we'll talk some about that. But I think also we have to remember that the playful energy of Leo. So, why don't you tell us, how do you describe Leo energy?
Okay, so I am familiar with Leo energy because I only have one Leo planet, which is my Mars, in the eighth. But I am married to a Leo with a Leo moon, and my son is a Leo with Leo rising, and my father is also a Leo. So I've got a lot of Leo all around me, and I'm going to tell you the beautiful things about Leo because that's what we want to tap into. What we want to tap into is what we deserve. Leo is royalty. Okay. Leo is a leader. Leo is the one that comes on the scene and has a certain degree of magnetism and charm and can rally people around them. And Leo energy is creative in its highest expression, its highest form. It's playful, it's fun, it rules children, it is big hearted, it is generous, and it's just like kind of like the best of like a kid. Like kids are always like, Mom, I'm about to go on the diving board. Watch me, watch me, watch me. That's very Leo energy, right? So any parents out there, you know that the important thing for kids as they're growing up is they need to be seen and they need to be recognized. And so, even if you are a Leo big kid, an adult, you still need that recognition. You still need that validation. However, the shadow of Leo, because remember, there's always a shadow side, can be narcissism, taking it too far, wanting to be the center of attention at all times, hijacking the attention, not thinking about the audience in the sense that you want to perform as a Leo, but you want to perform for the right audience, meaning the audience that can appreciate you authentically. So, this is a time of authenticity. It is a time of stepping into your regalness, and it is a time of understanding what your true, creative, unique, special leadership and gifts are. So, that's what I would say about Leo.
That's fantastic. Absolutely. And yeah, I find it really interesting when clients come who have a Leo rising. And I should say that's another thing we have in common, Dabney. My mother, my grandfather, my sister, my nephew are all Leo. So I was surrounded as I grew up by Leos, and Capricorns are the main ones. But I have a few Aquarian relatives as well. So how interesting. But that Leo rising, I'm always interested to see how that shows up with people because I find sometimes it's someone who just has a natural ability to hold center and attention, and they have been rewarded for their ability to be funny or have a gift or a talent. Yeah, it's just like that when you're in the warmth of a Leo sun, it can be so fantastic. Or there's also this energy sometimes I see where the only way to get attention is to act out. And that's a shadow of the Leo energy. And it's so interesting. Our president has a 29-degree Leo rising. So the last degree of the last that crisis and decay of that energy, and he wants to be a king. He does all the narcissism and all that shadow energy. So he's a perfect example of the shadow of Leo energy. Can you think of someone who's the the high road Leo energy?
So I can talk, let me just talk a little bit like about the personal expressions of Leo in my own life, only
Okay.
because I do think that they each embody different archetypes
Hmm.
of this. So I've talked on my channel. So those of you that are not familiar with me, I'm pretty open and honest about my upbringing, which was not the best. And so I have a narcissistic father who has like a stellium in Leo. Now that's in his fourth house, blah, blah, blah. Point being, okay, that is the shadow, is wanting, feeling entitled, feeling like if you are not getting your way, it's kind of like the spoiled child in a lot of ways. And it's a fixed sign. So it always thinks it's right. Now that's something that's somewhat universal with Leo, is they always think that they're right. Okay. So that's one archetype, but the higher expression, so my husband is a Leo, a reluctant Leo in some ways because he doesn't like attention. He has Scorpio rising, but I'll tell you, he completely loves the 1980s. He's obsessed with the 1980s. He plays records. He and my son the other night, they watched Magnum PI and they got dressed up and made, virgin daiquiris and coconut shrimp, and they watched like Magnum PI. It's that sort of playful, creative, authentic, like who likes Magnum PI? Not the new one, like the one from the 80s, but that was like his childhood favorite show. And so he wants to share that with my son. And then my son, who has the Leo rising, sometimes Leo rising can be a challenge because it does have this sense of almost like insecurity, like wanting people's approval, wanting people to look at you. But he is the most generous, empathetic, kind kid in the world. He has his son Venus in Leo conjunct right on the ascendant. So my point being is the beauty of Leo energy can be these just very magnanimous, creative people. And, I think of like Madonna. Madonna is a Leo, right? I want to say she might be Leo rising too, but maybe not. I know she's Leo with a Virgo moon. I can't remember her rising sign. Celeste will pull it up. But I think Madonna, especially back in the early days, but I think you can see both the good and the shadow in Madonna because you see this like intense creativity. You see someone who can command a room. You see somebody who just is brilliant in so many different ways, but then you see somebody who is not happy to age gracefully. She's holding on to the glory days, right? So, oh, are you pulling up a chart, Celeste?
Hmm.
There she is. Okay, there's our girl Madge.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
look,
not
she
sure
has
if
a
it's
stellium.
AA, but I should fix that. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
her for sure.
Yeah, so she
Leo's.
has three planets in, and that Venus, her creativity is a zero Leo. So like that's just bursting on the scene with creativity. So I think she's a great example of a Leo, like somebody who in the movie Truth or Dare, Warren Beatty said, why do anything if the cameras aren't on you? Right? And that's sort of that I think to me is a little bit of the shadow of Leo is like forgetting who they truly are because sometimes life is just a stage. So if you can kind of get off the stage, unless that's really what feeds you authentically, I think it's about really kind of opening your heart up and being as authentic and true to yourself as humanly possible. All right, what do you think, Les? I've
I
talked enough.
think it's so great, and it's like a psychic hit that you picked up on Madonna because her Uranus is at 12 degrees of Leo, and the full moon is at 13 degrees of Leo. And we're going to
Wow.
talk about as well how there's an Aquarius stellium on the other side, the audience. So the Leo is the performer, Aquarius is the audience. And you mentioned Truth or Dare, the documentary that Madonna did back in the late
90s.
90s. Yes, that is perfect viewing of this Leo full moon because she's on tour and you get to see her with her dancers as well as the public. So I think that's a great movie to watch and see all the shadows, all the light and shadows of Leo. This person who's able to just be so creative and be a leader and hold like, and she's got that like mother lion kind of lioness energy as well. Hmm.
Yeah, and she did wonderful things for the LGBTQ community well before it was kind of cool to do that, right? I mean, there
Mhm.
was something very, just very, when Keith Haring died, who was a friend of hers, she genuinely was so upset about the AIDS epidemic that she, really made it her mission to help raise awareness. So I think that, that's a very that's the Aquarian Leo dichotomy, because in a lot of ways they're both signs of leadership. They both want to make a difference. However, one does it from in a much more personal way, and one does it a little bit more from the heart, right? Like, so the example of her good friend died, and so then she was going to, make this creative. Her creativity was her mission to help raise awareness of AIDS. Aquarian energy might be a little more detached, right? It's kind of like more, it's not that personal feeling of like investment.
Yeah. Yeah. So notice if she comes up this eclipse season as well, through and that's through mid-March, and because her moon at 11 Virgo is going to be eclipsed. So we'll see if something comes up, and with Saturn and Neptune trining her Venus, I wonder if she's going to make some other big donation or something like that with to to stand up for what's going on. So that's so beautiful. I love that, Dabney. And I also wanted to say something to be mindful about Leo, especially if you have Leo placements. There's a big story about finding the worth within rather than needing it to come in from the audience, especially if you have a South Node in Leo. Yeah, how do you dialogue the South Node in Leo as an evolutionary astrologer? Let me stop sharing for 1 second.
So, as an evolutionary astrologer, when in the tradition I was taught by Stephen Forrest, we look at the South Node. We understand there are gifts that we bring in, but we look at where we get tripped up. So we almost kind of just look at the shadow when we're describing it. And so oftentimes it can be, it depends on what house and all these things, but a lot of times it can be placement of someone who had a degree of power or royalty in the past. And that actually was to their detriment because they had to put on a show. They had to be someone they were not. And so their true authenticity never was able to come through. That was one of the things, like if we think about like a Princess Diana character, right? She was shamed for really trying to be her true authentic self because that's not what you do in the royal family. And so, that's all about like duty to the people and leading by example. And but that's not necessarily true or authentic. Also, with a South Node in Leo, there can be a degree of debauchery. There can be, kind of giving in to that feeling of like life's a party, sort of like a Dionysian like themes where people just, just forget themselves. I think that's really the main thing is like not forgetting yourself for the approval of other people.
I love that. Absolutely. And also, Leo rules royalty. I don't know if we said that. And so that's a perfect example that you brought up Princess Diana with uh, actually her South Node in
Aquarius.
Aquarius.
And
But
so, in some ways, she exactly. And so, in some ways, she was really ill fit for the role. She was perfect for the role she was in, but she was bringing in the baggage of feeling like an outsider because the Aquarian South Node is the outsider. So, here she was meant to be royalty. And ultimately, she became the people's princess. Right? She became the one. And so there's that Uranus sitting right next to her North Node, which tells me that was her whole point. Her whole mission in this lifetime, in that lifetime, was to disrupt, to be a disruptor of what royalty meant. And so it's in the eighth house. She was basically here to shake up royalty. And ultimately she is the most iconic royal figure in our lifetimes.
mm-hmm.
And even
And
Elton John started singing about her when she died. I mean, come on now. That's pretty, I love it.
Yes,
I love
candle.
I'm a big fan of Princess Diana.
Oh, absolutely. Candle in the wind. And we also have Meghan Markle, who is a Leo sun. So this full moon, she might make some news. This full moon is to her sun within 2 degrees.
Look at that. And Prince Harry married someone who has the exact nodal configuration in many ways. I mean, it's different houses. But that's interesting. So, she's obviously a disruptor as well, but in a different way. It's in her first house, which kind of says like she's supposed to be her own royalty. And that's what she's often shamed for is, shining brightly, and eclipsing in the role that she was supposed to play.
Absolutely. And look at her Uranus. It is stationing as she was born, meaning she really is a big disruptor. And it's interesting. My podcast next week is called The Prince and the Revolution. So, Sun in Leo, the Prince, I mean, Moon in Leo, the Prince, the Sun in Aquarius, the Revolution, and Prince from Minneapolis, his soundtrack, I feel like, is a perfect one for this time. But Uranus is going to station next week to go direct at 27. So, she's finishing her Uranus opposition, and the full moon is to her sun, and then the lunar eclipse on March 3rd is to her Venus. So we'll see what shows up with her at this time. Is it business ventures? Is it something else? But let's talk a little bit. I'll go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say with that Aquarian South Node in the seventh house too, that is it's so interesting to see that playing out again for her, being ostracized through a relationship, being outcast, um,
Mhm.
you know, she got married in the royal family, but she was an outsider, and an outsider through marriage. She had a really successful Hollywood career. And so, it's all about her like really sticking to her guns and being who she is. So more power to Meghan Markle as far as I'm concerned. I know there's a lot of haters out there, but
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Aquarius energy, because here's the full moon chart. So there
okay.
is this huge stellium in Aquarius opposing the Leo full moon. So what do you say about how do you dialogue Aquarius to people?
Okay. So, you know what? I think that when you're talking about Aquarian energy, you're really talking about a more detachment. So Leo is, if you think about Leo as being very personal, very much from the heart, Leo is very sensitive in a lot of ways, and it does care what other people thinks. Aquarian energy takes a step back and says, I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'm going to do what I think is right. And, that can cut different ways because it can be very detached, and it can be a little cold sometimes. So, what we're seeing, like in Minneapolis, is such an interesting example of people coming together and working in community for what they think is the right thing to do. However, I do believe that there are people on the quote unquote other side that really think they're doing the right thing. Now, I'm not defending any of it, just so you know, and I think there's all sorts of other things, but I'm talking about just that Aquarian energy can be authoritarian, but it can also be rebellion and revolution from the people. So we're seeing that kind of come to a head in Minneapolis because on one side you have this sort of authoritarian, like we need to do what's best for our country. And what's best for our country is getting out the immigrants, right? Like that's what they think. And then the other side is like, no, these are our neighbors. We're going to protect them at all costs. This isn't, that's not what's in the Constitution. Like I'm going to exercise my rights. We're going to take you on. And so both of those are actually Aquarian energies. In our own personal life, Aquarian energy can be where we can take a step back and see things from a very big picture and see what needs to happen. However, it can detach you from your emotions sometimes, and you can just be in your head and not feeling the truth.
Hmm.
What do
Yeah.
you think?
And it's also like that this axis of Leo versus Aquarius, Aquarius, the group. What is best for the group rather than what is best for me? What sacrifices do I need to make for the betterment of all of us? And we're seeing this show up with like the whole vaccination thing, like measles. There's a huge measles outbreak in South Carolina. And because some people feel like, oh, I don't want my children to get vaccinated now, there's this big problem where there's hospitalizations. People actually used to, this disease was eradicated and it's back because of people making personal decisions for themselves versus the group. And I'm not saying which way is, well,
No,
anyway,
you can
I'm sure
say it, Celeste. We
somebody's gonna be
need to,
mad about that, but
vaccinations are
it was
important.
gone. And now it was gone and now it's back. And measles is very dangerous to children. So just as an example of that Leo Aquarian dynamic. Absolutely. But I also, Aquarius energy is an air sign, and air about is a main sign. So it's about interactions between people. And each sign is in rebellion to the one before it and after it. And Capricorn is very hierarchical, and Aquarius is more of a flat organization. Like everyone has a role, and there's no leader. And in Minnesota, one of the things that's so amazing about this time, and it's going to be written about, they may be the people of the year times people of the year, is that this movement, Aquarius rules social movements, this movement for people to protect their neighbors, it was like almost like organic. There's no leader per se. They're just people. A necessity is the mother of invention, and they just figured out all these things to do,
Like the whistles and
the
right, like
whistleblowers, Uranus and Gemini. hmm
huh.
the whistles, the people are gathering together supplies and things, delivering groceries to people who are too scared to leave their houses, all of that sort of
filming
thing.
on their phones, which is technology, which is also very Aquarian, right? Which is like evidence. It's like showing you the truth. Aquarians want truth. Leo, that's not like a hallmark for Leo. They're not dishonest by in any way necessarily, but like it's not like I have to be true at all costs. Whereas Aquarian, like they're not messing around with truth. Like that Aquarius energy is like, this is the truth. So
And it's a
can I
truth
tell
as
my
they see it, very idealistic.
yeah,
Sometimes the Aquarius thing is I know, and sometimes they will say things as truth that are really their opinions. That's one of the shadows of Aquarius energy. Yeah. And group think is a shadow of Aquarius energy. My group thinks this. And so that is the way it is. So that's one of the shadows. And we're really going to be seeing the light and the shadows of this. Oh, I had a big point I wanted to make, but I forgot what it was.
all right, well, I'm going to tell my little story while you think. Oh,
Remember,
you got it? Okay, go for it.
Lady Gaga has released a song, and this is a full moon in Leo story as we're moving towards this full moon. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood song. So I highly recommend people Google it. It's really soulful and beautiful and wistful how she's singing It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Wouldn't you be my neighbor? Such an
Okay,
important.
well, and also, did you see Bruce Springsteen put out a song and it's so good? Like it's really good.
The
So he put out a song about Minneapolis and
streets of Minneapolis.
I highly recommend checking it out. So I'm going to tell my little Leo full moon story, if that's
Mhm.
okay. So
Yeah.
as a little personal story, I'm abroad right now, and I was staying at a hotel, and I've had a terrible few weeks, like really terrible few weeks. I'm here by myself. I'm here for business, and not astrology business. I decided that I was going to splurge and stay at like a 5-star hotel. So I get here, the hotel is beautiful, and then they take me to outside the hotel to the back wing of some weird modern building that was like run down and super crummy. And the room was terrible. And I was like, where was the pretty palace that I wanted to stay in? What happened? Why am I in this weird wing? Like, what's happening here? So I called and I said, hey, I don't think this, is there any way I can upgrade or is there something I can do? They said, no, we're all full. So I stewed a little bit and I was like, all right, went to bed. The next morning I went and I said, hey, you know what? I'm just not feeling it. Like, not your problem, not your fault. Don't want to complain. Just saying like this isn't what I was in my head and that's on me. But is there any way I can check out early so I can go find another hotel that would just fit my needs a little better? And the manager was very nice. And she said, well, what if we gave you an upgrade? I said, okay. Okay, check this out. I'm in a palace, like literally, like I'm in a palace. Okay, they didn't charge me anything extra. They were just like, no problem, we'll move you today. Da, da, da. Okay, I'm telling this story because I think it's a very Leo full moon story. I did not want to upset anybody. I was like, I'm not complaining. Like I was very much, but decided to take care of myself, I was unhappy. I did not like what was happening. I felt like I'd spent way too much money for something that it was not what I expected. And I just communicated from the heart. And I was rewarded. Somebody like said, okay, sure, let me help you. And that is very Leo. It's like communicate from the heart. It's not like be a diva. So there's some like, there could have been a diva element there, but I was just trying to find a solution that would help take care of my needs, which is not something I always know how to do. And I think that that's the lesson here. That's why I'm telling this story is this is about taking care of your needs, getting your needs met, not in a diva, like complaining, being like, narcissistic, but not putting yourself aside either. Like this is what we all need to do right now is we need to see where our needs are not being met and ask for them to be met. And maybe you'll get to live in a palace for a couple of days.
I love that story because they're also on this axis of Leo and Aquarius is how do you ask for what you need? How do you shine your light? How do you create what you need to create as that's the Leo energy and not let yourself fear of judgment from the audience, Aquarius, stop you from doing what you need to do forward. Now, the audience Aquarius can also put tremendous pressure on you with Pluto in Aquarius right now to do certain things. And how do you deal with that pressure? Because there's a lot of pressure coming, especially to celebrity influencer types, to speak up about what's going on in the United States, about people being terrorized by these who
Gestapo?
the Gestapo. Absolutely wanna be Gestapo. A good thing that happened though, all the voices that were raised by what we saw with Alex Preddy being slaughtered, that Greg Bovino was fired from his, if not, he was demoted.
Demoted, or he was taken out. He was taken out of the limelight. And I think that's the thing with the full moon, what you're looking at is a culmination. You're looking at, I always think of new moons and full moons, like especially full moons, to be honest with you, are karmic reckoning times, right? Like it's a time where like the light is shined on what's really happening. And so I think I'm just such a full-blown believer that you get what you put out into the world. And so it's kind of like he got what he put back out into the world, which is crap.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. So it's no nice to see something good happening. TikTok on Christy Nome and Stephen Miller. We'll see what happens with them. But this is the full moon set for the United States. So there's going to be big stories. What's happening here, and the Olympics starts on February 6th. So this is really going to be something that we're also going to be seeing. I'm really interested to see how the world reacts to the United States at this Olympics, because our reputation has been basically destroyed in the last 10 years with this man, but especially the last year with the tariffs and threatening to invade every country on earth and all of this other stuff. So it will be very interesting to see how we're treated at the ceremonies, with the moon being in the first house, and this seventh house is our allies and open enemies. I get a loud boo coming at least at some point during the Olympics, and they're February 6th to February 22nd, and the solar eclipse is on the 17th. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully nothing. I don't like this Mars Pluto, but whatever.
What? So wait, when is the Olympics? It's like
Starts
soon.
The Winter Olympics are in Milan starting February 6th. And the only reason I know this is because that Italy is outraged because they're going to be the US says they're sending ICE agents to Milan, to Italy, to
Why?
guard the delegation. Those people are apoplectic. They have ICE outsides in Italy.
What? I had not read that. Oh my God.
I
Well,
wonder if that's going to be a
I
Uranus
saw
direct
that they were going to
story.
be like at the Super Bowl. I did see that.
Hmm. Well, that's in the United States.
No, I know, but well, that's the other thing I'm seeing so much is how US centric our news has become. Like being outside the country, we don't get news from any other countries anymore. I mean, there's like, like mudslides and there's like hurricanes and there's elections. There's all these things going on. And like, ours is just dominated by the orange menace. Like you can't get away from it. It's very frustrating. So I've taken to like looking at the Guardian every day to try to get like a little bit more perspective outside of just what's happening in our country.
Yeah, yeah. And look at this, Saturn on the ninth house. So there's going to be trouble overseas. Is it on waters? We're sending, and well, what not we, this administration is sending an armada to Iran. So we shall see. The prince could be the prince of Iran, who's, I guess, the former leader's son or grandson. I don't know. But he's someone people want to take over from the current leadership. So there may be something going on over there with that. Over the next 2 weeks, the light from this Leo full moon will be disseminating over us. But really watch also who's getting canceled.
So
Or
even bigger than being canceled, I would say, the full moon, Leo rules stars and it rules like Hollywood and movie stars and musicians and things like that. And so definitely look to see who exits stage left at this time. This could be a time where, some more like older established, celebrities, this is like their time to, find the next light.
yeah, some people are definitely going to be passing on. Somebody is going to make big news, a big star, probably by Tuesday when Uranus stations direct. Maybe someone who was notice what Uranian words we're hearing over the next time. Like Uranus is somebody who does things in a unique way, breaks through barriers, things like that. So
Yeah, trailblazer. Like this
trailblazer.
person was a trailblazer. This person was groundbreaking. This person was a genius. Right.
Yeah, so that's going to be on Tuesday. I also think like there's something coming where something obscene is happened. Like we're going to be getting information about sexual stuff as well. So just be ready for
What were
that.
you getting at from Celeste?
Uh,
What were
I think it's part of the solar eclipse in Aquarius square Uranus, like
okay.
Uranus and Taurus. There's something about maybe it has to do with the Epstein stuff. There's something about well, I guess this is like it's out there already in the collective, but perversion, because we're also going to have Venus in Aquarius square Uranus. And that can be like there's a big sting by law enforcement and people are let go from captivity. Could be a kind of thing when you see when Venus squares Uranus. So, and it could be like that's what I'm getting with that. So see what happens when Venus squares Uranus. That's next weekend. So we'll see. I'll be sure to talk about it at the next one we do for the new moon. But so some people who are in the spotlight right now is Melania Trump. She's the handler of our current president. And she has,
Way to put it.
Amazon has released a movie of her life. And who would want to go see that? I don't know. Apparently, no one.
Tony Robbins, apparently. Everybody
Yeah.
likes Tony Robbins. You guys, that guy is a big creep. Do your homework. That's all I have to say about that guy. Because I know like everybody loves Tony Robbins. No, not so much. Anyway.
Yeah, the White House had a screening, and people are pretty mad about who they saw going to the screening of this. But if you look at this, there was like one ticket sold or zero tickets sold in all of England. In the US, nobody wants to go see this claptrap.
It was banned in South Africa for some reason.
Yeah,
I didn't read, just saw the headline.
it's been banned in South Africa. And so this is her full moon. We do not know her birth time, but what we know is a couple of things that jump out at me about this is that she's unless she's born, if she's born like right at midnight, she would be a 29-degree Sagittarius moon, but otherwise she's a Capricorn moon.
She seems more Capricorn moon.
Yeah.
She has kind of a heaviness about her, not physical presence. She's gorgeous, obviously, but like an angry, like shadow Capricorn, like very serious.
Yeah. And Capricorn can be very concerned about what the Joneses think. And I think this is part of Pluto. She's having a Pluto transit where Pluto in the sky is squaring her sun, her identity, her ego, her essence. So there's humiliation, and it's going to station at 5, squaring her sun. So this movie of her life is nothing but a big joke and is a failure. So that's part of what's happening for her.
Well, what that tells me too, Michael Wolff, this is all alleged, but Michael Wolff is suing her, and there is like, it's moving forward because she threatened to sue him over defamation around her relationship with Epstein. So that is very Pluto square the sun for sure. And within Aquarius and Taurus, that's secrets coming out. Like that's definitely has to do with the body. So all alleged. I don't know anything. I have no information, but we can all put 2 and 2 together.
And look at that sun, King Kong's Uranus in Libra. Will things really come out about her relationship with Epstein now, and how she really got to where she is? And look at Uranus on her Venus. Uranus can also reject. So this is like nobody wants to see this movie, is rejecting her, and it's showing how unpopular, awakening everyone, including herself, to how unpopular she really is. You see it? Uranus on her Venus?
Oh, yeah. No, I was just looking at her natal Saturn-Sun conjunction, which also can kind of be similar to that Capricorn moon as well, which just like a seriousness, like that's something that whenever you see her, it's almost like she has to feign a smile. Like you never like we don't know what her rising sign is. So, but that's she's obviously, was committed and dedicated, and she was committed to the idea of getting out of poverty, which is what I believe she came from, and to, have wealth. And so we see that with her as well, but that Saturn Sun conjunction in Taurus, that she wanted security and she wanted a degree of wealth and power so she could feel um, comfortable. So having Uranus on her Venus could also be indicative of something around her husband as well, like
Mm-hmm.
a disruption in the marriage, a disruption in the relationship in some way, a change in status, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
could be.
Yes. Oh, from your mouth. Too. And she's in a nodal return. She's born like a couple of days before me. I'm a Sun Saturn, but I have a moon in Aries, so I have a very different
Right, but you
energy.
also have had a commitment to having a certain kind of life, and you weren't
Yes.
afraid to work hard for it. So I don't actually didn't think that Saturn Sun description was a poor, like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I think
No.
it's actually like having the dedication to um actually, get the work done. And you're Cancer rising, so you've got like a sweet, bubbly,
Yeah.
approachable demeanor.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what her rising sign is. And then there is this other scandal. And yeah,
Oh
we're seeing
yeah.
a lot of scandal with Neptune has just moved into Aries. So there is themes of Neptune rules scandals, and some of them are new. And one of the things that happened is Candace Owens, the podcaster, has released audio of Erica Kirk talking to the Turning Point USA staff like 11 days after her husband was murdered. And she's bubbly, and she's going on about the, let me pull up Erica Kirk's chart. We don't know her birth time. Going on and on about how much money they've made from the merch sales and how spectacular the event they pulled off was, the funeral. And it's weird, and people are reacting to it, and it's gone viral, of her um, not seeming to be upset at all, and then she pulls out that tissue and starts dabbing at her eyes. There's also a video that's out. So there's a lot being talked about how she's had strange reactions to the fact that her husband was was murdered, and
And she's
Uranus
a
is
she's a
opposite her son.
Saturn Uranus Saturn conjunction as well. So those 87, 88 babies are in the news because that was both Renee Good and Preddy. Both were like 87, 88 babies with the
Mm-hmm.
Saturn Neptune conjunction, and here's her as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Where's this full?
fascinating.
So let's put this full moon outside of her, because yeah, she's Uranus out. People are asking questions about her behavior, and she's in a nodal return as well, like Melania. I hope I don't have a scandal, Daphne, because I'm in my nodal return as well.
I went through my nodal return and I didn't have a scandal. I think really all it does is it illuminates your karma. That's all it does, is it like kind of it shines a light on the things that maybe you're off track and where you need to get back on track. That's all it does for everybody. So when we talk about some of these specific things in celebrities or well-known political figures, please know that the chart is a big picture and there's a lot of different expressions. So if we say something negative about a specific placement, know that we are bringing in the information that we know about this person. There's always a high expression of every single thing that you can see in a chart. So we're kind of we're commentators on what we see and interpreting it through the chart. But don't freak out if like you have a Saturn Sun conjunction or you're a Capricorn moon. That doesn't mean that that's true for you what we are observing in others.
Yeah. So Uranus is opposite her sun, and it's making what we call a focused yod. So you can see Uranus is quincunx her natal Uranus and her Venus, and Venus sextile Uranus. So there's all this talk about her detached, peculiar behavior with the death of her husband. Venus sextile this Uranus up here in her chart. Mm-hmm.
Well, and so for what stands out to me is that she has Pluto just cross the ascendant. And that's, you know, she's been in that, and that coincided with something, you know, it's opposite or descendant. Here is, you know, she lost her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime
Oh,
Pluto
although we
crosses in,
don't know her birth time.
oh, we don't know her birth time. I'm sorry. Scratch
Mm-hmm.
what I said.
But this is Saturn squaring her Uranus as well, and she's in her opening Saturn square. So, I mean, it's horrible to have anyone murdered. So, but it's just, this is the T, and this is Candace. So, obviously, there are people in Turning Point who are leaking the audio and video from these Zoom calls to Candace Owens. And this is also very Aquarian with technology being part of this full moon in Leo story, because she's
Look at
kind of
that
like,
Saturn Neptune conjunction.
yeah,
Another
this is Candace.
so it's interesting that all these Saturn Neptune people are in the news.
Because Saturn and
Interesting.
Neptune are coming to meet. They're
Right,
traveling
exactly.
together.
Yes, I'm sorry. I should illustrate why that's interesting is because we're gearing up for the first time since the 80s for this conjunction to happen again, but it's happening in a much different way because back then, what was it in Libra or you just pulled it off? I forget.
Oh, it was in a Capricorn.
Capricorn? Okay. And so now it's going to be in Aries, so very different energy.
hmm Now, we don't know her birth time, and she's got two planets. So her Mercury's at 29 Taurus, but if she was born like really, really late at night, she might have a Gemini Mercury, and her Mars at 0 Cancer. If she was born like right after midnight, early in the morning, it might be 29 Gemini. And she like talks for a living. So
Did she have so I'm not that familiar with her. I know she's a
mhm.
right-wing podcaster.
Yeah, she's a
Does
right
she
wing
have
bud.
issues with women? Like is she kind of one of those people that gets in? Because I was looking at Mars Chiron conjunction in Cancer, which would indicate some real issues with the mother. And so I'm just wondering if like this is like a reoccurring theme for her to be, you know, encountering uh rivalries with women or anything like that. I don't know.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know a lot about her. I just know
Yeah. So if you know anything about
she's
her,
a
put it
big
in the
right.
comments.
She is one of the most, I think it's just hilarious that she is one of the most well-known, successful right-wing podcasters pushing this MAGA movement, which is a white supremacist movement. And she, with Uranus on her Mercury, she has gone off the rails. She's gone independent. She's talking a lot about she's talking about whatever she wants to talk about, and it's causing disruptions in this movement. Well, the whole movement's kind of since he was murdered at the after the lunar eclipse in Pisces, there has been real cracks forming in this movement, and it's falling apart. And people are getting mad at her for keeping talking about how she thinks Charlie it was an inside job, and she keeps talking about it, won't stop talking about it. And now she's released audio, Uranus on her Mercury, uh, two audios, and well, an audio and a video of Erica Kirk acting in a strange way within days of her husband being killed. And she's in her nodal return as well. But it's going to be interesting. Saturn is going to station squaring this Saturn Neptune. So if I were her, I'd be really watching my back because she also says a lot of, she's also very anti-Israel. So That's
I
a
know
big
she's
one.
very controversial, but with that Aquarian moon, she probably doesn't care what anyone thinks about her, which is interesting.
I don't think she gives a crap. And she's married to a billionaire, so she probably just stays at her palace and doesn't have to worry about it. So anyway,
So interesting. Well, did you want to pick a couple cards, Celeste, or did you have
yes, let's
anything else
pick
you
some
wanted to look
cards.
at? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm going to use my World Predictions deck by Trisha James. What is coming up this week?
You should get Trisha James on your channel since you like are making her deck famous.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Okay, I should reach out to her. I'm so overwhelmed right now with all the things I'm trying to do.
Mm. So I picked the sheep in wolf's clothing. So that's an interesting turnabout, right? And so that's one to kind of look out for and this is also goes to that moon. Where do you need to be true to yourself, right? Where do you
Ah,
need to step in to your leadership role? Uh, yeah.
that's so interesting. A sheep in wolf's clothing. Yeah. What does it say in the book? Is there a book? Can you
There
read
is.
it?
I've got to pull it up. It's on my phone. Give me a second.
Okay.
You work on that while I find it.
Okay, I'm pulling three cards. What about this story of this full moon?
Okay.
Um,
All right. And so this is from the deck, I think it's called the Dreaming Oracle from Sue Hawkins.
mhm.
And I'm gonna read it to you as soon as I get it up.
Take your time.
All right,
Yeah, I'll tell people. Oh, there's still time to
yeah.
join. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go. Yeah, no, go for it. Let's do it.
There's still time to join my proper care and feeding of the moon class. That it's really a great time to work on your natal moon and understanding it, and by sign, house, aspect. And then there's going to be two live sessions where I'm going to do hot takes on people's charts. We'll talk about the eclipses that are coming up, as well as, learning all about your natal moon. The first one is on Sunday, February 1st, the day of the full moon. So there'll be a link in the show notes for you to join the class with me. And it's a great time to have some community off of the social media, off of YouTube or Instagram and everything, where we can see each other and talk about what's going on with us emotionally at this time and learn more about our moons.
And I have to plug my course, which is my Astrology Foundations course. If you've ever wanted to learn how to read your own chart, is half off until Valentine's Day. And so that's only $34, and it is 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of content. It's self-paced, but I've launched a transits course. So if you want to learn about the cycles and transits and progressions in your own chart, this is an excellent way to do it. And there's going to be 2 live sessions in mid-February. So I'll give Celeste the link for that if you're interested. So let me read you the sheep in wolf's clothing. You dream of battle, but this is not a war, it's a remembering. The trembling one in wolf's disguise are not your foes, but your reflection. Each pelt of fury and conviction hides the same small frightened pulse of the human heart, uncertain of its safety, pretending at power. This card appears when the world feels split in two, when everyone is shouting and no one feels heard. It asks you to look beyond the costume of righteousness to the quivering softness that longs to be seen beneath. You are not meant to devour your fear nor feed it. You are meant to befriend it, to sit with it. When the sheep removes the wolf's mask, discover that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's the doorway to belonging. The shadow is the illusion of enemies, defending identity through conflict, fear hidden beneath certainty. And the gift is the strength of softness, shared humanity, and peace born from empathy. So,
Wow. So think about how you can role model that. Dabney, that card is perfect for the Leo full moon with this Aquarius stellium. Like
yeah.
the powers that be want us staying divided over everything. And because that allows them to just rob us blind and grind us under their boot. how can we let down some of the anger that we have about people who are making different choices or seeing things differently to some extent. I mean, it's hard if somebody has,
No, but there is a more universal truth
yeah,
that at the end of the day, we've all created this. Like that
yes.
is reality. And like if we can take some ownership of what our part of it is, and then that helps with the projection and the othering of other people. So I know it's challenging. I mean, obviously Celeste and I feel it as well, but I think there's a larger truth if you can step back and know what you're called to do during this time. What is your unique special talent? And the more you're embodying it, the less you're going to be concerned with the other.
Hmm. Yeah, what a powerful card. Now, what's the name of that deck?
So this deck is it's by Sue Hawkins, and the card the deck the it was just sent to me. So I'm gonna hold this up. And if you want to freeze frame it, anybody, you can go to that QR code to purchase it. But Sue Hawkins, it's called the Dreaming Deck Oracle. And she just made it herself. She's, it's like she independently published, but it's brilliant. I love it.
Wow, that card is so perfect for this full moon. So I pulled three cards. And this thinking about the bigger picture, what are the stories we're going to be hearing? Coerce, manipulate. So there is a lot of pressure on people to, especially people with platforms. Somebody on the day Mars met Pluto on Threads, like started a list about influencers and content creators and celebrities that haven't spoken up about what's going on in terms of, the what ICE is doing, this administration is doing. So there's like this pressure coming on the special ones to take a stand. Are you with Amanda Seyfried or Sydney Sweeney? Pick a side. Yeah. So that's one of
And
that.
also the TikTok scandal too, is impacting influencers who are saying that they need to get off of TikTok because they're being silenced. They're not letting people post about things that are against the government.
Yeah.
So First Amendment there, baby.
Yes, and the president has told other countries to not sell bonds. I mean, we're in trouble financially. The world is the dollar is just like is dropping. I'm very concerned about Saturn Neptune being a financial
Collapse.
the balloon collapse. Yeah. So and Scott Galloway has talked about Professor Galloway has talked about taking this economic boycott that they've been role modeling in Minnesota and expanding it, but focusing on the tech companies until something is done and things are stopped. Yeah. So think about canceling streaming services and whatnot. Okay. The next card is consequence, damage done. I feel like this is about this administration. They have just blown it. The actions they've taken. I don't know. Do you think they're doing this intentionally to destroy our economy, or it's just happening that way?
No, no, I don't actually. I'm of the opinion that they really are just so I admit, I used to work for a man that was very similar to the Orange Menace, and they just have this incredible narcissistic delusion where they cannot see what everyone else around them can see. And especially when we get to this point where it's just yes men, they're not really, you're punished for showing the truth of what can be. And I really don't think it's intentional. I don't think this is what they wanted. I think what he wanted ultimately is just to enrich himself, and that is happening. He's made billions of dollars. So I don't think he really cares that much. But do I think that was like the intention to destroy the economy? I don't.
Okay. Okay. But the
I do
damage.
think the Project 2025 guys don't care in some ways if it allows their Christian nationalism to take deeper root. I think that they're happy to go along with it, but I don't think financial ruin was in anybody's plans.
Hmm. And this Alex Preddy murder. And Bruce Springsteen's song is called Streets of Minneapolis. Listen to it. He talks about Preddy and good. And it's really, really, it's a beautiful, it's like a 60s protest song.
Yeah.
So the boss, we had a new moon in Capricorn, and the boss released a protest song leading up to the Leo full moon. So it's going to be heard around the world. So yeah, about what is going on in the United States of America. And yeah, our reputation, and we're going to see some things at the Olympics, I think, about how this administration, how this man has
Is
impacted.
perceived. Yeah.
Yeah.
How it's impacted all of us.
And, pandemic health crisis. The Nipah virus in India is a problem. Now, hopefully they'll have it contained, but it is possible that there could be some lockdowns some places in the world. February 17th, that solar eclipse in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus. Uranus rules aviation. Taurus is like the body. So there could be some places you can't go or something like that with this pandemic health issue. Hopefully it won't be a full-scale pandemic, but pay attention because it causes brain swelling. And Aries is the head, including the brain, and Saturn and Neptune are meeting in Aries on the 20th of February. So the measles is a big thing in the U.S., but let's keep that Nipah virus out of here. It's in India. China is scanning for it at airports. But if you have any trips anywhere, always get trip insurance, because we're going into a time where there's going to be more and more interruptions of daily life or the ability to move about. So, yeah. And underneath it all is tensions escalate. So tensions are escalating as we move to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in the fire sign Aries, which rules conflict. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but those are the
I think
things.
right now, so the eclipse is like everything's building, I think, to the eclipse and then the conjunction. We all know we're in a swirl right now, but I think that this full moon in Leo is an opportunity to light up your own personal gifts. This is what I keep saying on my channel, is that this is all kind of in motion, right? Like everything's happening. It's all in motion. Step up where you are being tapped to step up. Do what you can. However, know what your role is. Know who you are. That's the beauty. Find the right audience. Find your creative contribution. That's what this is about. It's about illuminating your individual, unique creative contribution at this time while this continues to swirl.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dabney. Wonderful advice for everyone. Yeah, what is your part? Is it and just speaking up, is refusing to be silenced is part. Like saying I have a First Amendment right to speak my mind, and if I want to protest, I can protest. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and a healthy Leo is one that does not care what anyone else thinks. A healthy Leo is like, this is my gift, this is what I have to say, this is my truth. And then you're going to find the right people that appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, tell everybody where they can find you, Dabney.
You can find me on my channel on YouTube, which is Lawless Astrology. And then also you can go to my website, which is lawlessastrology.com. And I've got classes, and you can get on the waiting list for a reading, and you can download my free astrology workbook. But I would just love to see you over on my channel, because then you're going to see Celeste as well, because she is going to be doing the new moon with me in a couple weeks.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. I forgot to say at the beginning, please subscribe to our channels. This will be collaborated on both of our channels, and share us with anyone you think could be helped by what we're talking about. Yeah, and comment, please. I'm Astrology by Celeste, and my website is astrologybyceleste.com. Have a happy full moon and a safe full moon, and think about how you can shine your light. Think about what we've talked about. Where do you dim your light in order to fit in? And what is your role in this collective story? We are watching the greatest story ever told unfold, where all the stories it's biblical with the North Node and Pisces. It's like everything's collapsing in on itself, and we're seeing stories throughout time. So, can you hold the light, keep the faith, and we're in the birthing canal, but we're going to get through this. And I think community will be stronger, and we're going to get to the other side. Yeah, and things will be better. So take good care, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.